no one has the privilege to dictate how I feel. If we say that, I had a really messed up day and my really close friend, she or he did that, or my partner, he or she, how did they do it? They did it, but you're living it. Don't live it. Don't repeat it. Yeah. And with awareness, you know that how many times we relive a moment and then we just make a mess out of it. It only happens once, but it happens in our mind 1,000 times. What else was
No. So like you pretend.
Yeah, I always pretend. So I pretend so many things around me. I actually respond to them.
When does this pretending stop?
Never.
Is that your studio?
No.
This is what I'm asking as well. No, this is like a place where she does the audition. This is what she's like.
It's my study room. It's not my studio.
But you use it as your studio.
No, my studio is at some other place where I do my company shoots. So I'm a freelance actor and I have a company. So where I shoot brands, that's at a studio with proper backdrop and lighting. This is just my study room.
So when you say home, auditions,
but I've made
like
this
your auditions?
My auditions, where I audition as an actor to send to casting directors to cast me.
Yeah, so like she has to pretend she's at a cafe or she's eating something or... It's all pretentious.
Yeah. We always get scenes for it. Like you're talking to a guy and then you have to give him reactions. Like imagine the guy sitting in front of me. I'm eating and I have to give reactions. Assume that he said that line
and like and I assume you're all alone while doing this. So has someone ever
I'm the
no, that's perfectly fine. So but has but has someone ever replied back? Like for example, you're just that would be scary, right?
That would be so scary. Oh my God.
I think you can do the intro now.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wiser Together. This is your host, Parmeet Kumar, with your co-host, Anas Pasha.
Hi, guys.
We have a lovely guest here today. You, Aashna Chabra is her name. You, Aashna, do a lot of stuff, but I'll just start off with 3 words, as I mentioned before: how I see you, which is full of life, right? And me and Anas discussed this briefly before as well.
Yes.
So let me start from there. How does one get here? Because you're one of the very few people that I know who are like so full of life, who are so unapologetically themselves, and so much confidence in yourself, and you just go about doing things without caring what others would think about you. And that comes very hard, especially growing up in the society that we grew up in. I struggled with it as well, for the most part, getting better now, partly thanks to you. We'll get there. But how does one get there?
So there's a secret sauce, but I'm not like gonna tell you. Just kidding. So I've also like struggled a lot with finding happiness. I always my life thought that I have to find it. It's somewhere else, and it's my goal. You know what I mean. So when we read that book, like, oh, you don't need money, but you need to be happy. And then I was like, okay, so then because for money we have to go out and make money. So I thought even happiness, we have to go out and find that happiness and just figure it out. Maybe there's a process to it. Maybe there's a path that I need to cross, and then my goal is to attain happiness. But then this that I meditate a lot, and then slowly I realized that happiness is just an ambience that I carry, which I have the power to create in any situation. It's not something that if I enter a situation or if I leave a situation, I'm going to be happy. Like, how a lot of people say, which maybe is fine for them, that cut off the toxic circle and you'll be happy. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe because that's here, your mindset could be toxic, but it needs to change here. So, of course, like it's work every day. But now I feel like it's like a weird sync that I have with my system. I just get it that maybe I can do this a little differently. And once I realign my thoughts and my mindset, Happiness or feeling joy or just feeling good is a very natural outcome. It's like breathing, honestly. You never stop breathing, right? So you just create that. You just create happiness for
And
yourself.
when do
Yeah.
you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go, you
Okay, I just wanted to ask, when did you realize this?
I very clearly realized it around 3.5 to 4 years
go.
ago when I was traveling extensively in India. I was meeting a lot of people like locally. You know that I've lived in ashrams for very long. I've done a lot of meditation. So I did that and it still wasn't making me happy. Like I was really happy when I was meditating and when I was at this nice place. I used to come back home and just feel terrible in 7, 8, 10 days. I used to be cranky and irritated. Then I used to do something like I started acting. So now I'm acting for 6 months. I'm super happy. Now that's over. I'm back home. Nothing's happening. I'm just feeling terrible. I'm feeling anxious. My anxiety is coming back, which I thought is over because I thought maybe meditation is the answer. Maybe just doing what you love is the answer. But I would say that do it for 3 years. You stop it, the anxiety is going to come back. So so then I slowly started to just breathe through my struggle. If I'm feeling annoyed, if I'm feeling irritated in a certain emotion and I'm not meditating, maybe I'm not doing my acting stuff, I'm not working, I'm just sitting at home, I was like, okay, let me see what's the worst, let's see what happens. And I would just breathe through that.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot to uncover here, and I'll go one by one. There's so much I have to ask you. To me, some people are like naturally just full of life and happy and joyful. And
Yeah.
it's not just that
Yeah.
they're happy and joyful, they just have a heightened sense of emotion. So even if they face a situation where they're upset, they will be to the extreme, they'll cry, or their emotions are
Yeah.
at a very heightened level for them. To you, I don't think it comes naturally. You had to consciously work towards this. And now, as well, through that practice, maybe you're able to channel that energy naturally to some extent, but to some level, you're conscious of it, if that makes sense. Is that true?
Yeah. For very, very long, I've struggled with mental health when I was in school. Like maybe and that time it wasn't even a big deal. Like who cared about mental health anyway? People are talking about it now, like since the past two, three
Yeah, it
years,
wasn't
right?
a thing.
They call it was never a thing. And I clearly remember, like, so I always had these existential questions when I was in seventh grade. I clearly remember, like, when I used to come back in the school bus, because that's just how it happens here. And I just look out and look at people on the streets and just wonder, why is he here? Why am I here? What are we doing here? Why am I in a bus? What am I
Observation, yeah.
studying for?
Curiosity.
So much observation. I used to just observe ants also. Sometimes they used to be like on my skin. I used to just look at the ant, look at the mosquito, look at the fly. What are they doing? Why is this animal behaving like that? And I thought that every creature is so intelligent and they understand where to get food, who to be scared of. I just felt like I thought like me as a person, I'm so clueless, but this animal around me is so smart. That guy just knows it all and I'm still figuring it out. I always felt like, like after college, I thought that my intelligence was working against me. I thought that my intellect was so sharp that like there was so much overthinking that I was doing. My intelligence had caused all the anxiety, all the panic attacks that I was going through, everything weird. And then I realized that this is the only thing that we need to conquer. Like
That's
that, my
that's
realization,
all I talk about all the time, and that's so
you
amazing.
know?
You're one of the spiritual friends I have. There's only a
Yeah.
few that you already know, and we've had this kind of conversation so many. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to touch on this. So in the beginning, Pramit said that, like he said that you were so full of life. So, and then at the same time, he said that that is something that he also struggled with, and that partly because of Ashna, like Ashna has. I just want to know what credit goes to Ashna for helping Pramit in this challenge.
So as I mentioned, Ashna is one of my very few spiritual friends. So we have very, very deep, long conversations around spirituality, meditation, and all that stuff. So you remember when end of 2021, when I was in Dubai and I was telling you guys that I'm going for this
Yeah.
meditation retreat in Nepal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
me and Ashna talked about it at that, and she knows someone who's been to that same place and gone through that process, and she herself had been through that process since a couple of years, right? I was just getting into it, but she had been in there since a few years. So that's how it started. She gave me a lot of insight, and then it just opened that door for us to, communicate about these things openly and freely and talk and share these things. And I genuinely learned a lot from her. She's way ahead of me on these things. I started my spiritual journey in 2022. I'll come back to when Ashna started. Most people don't know this. Obviously, most people watching wouldn't know this. You also don't know this. She had, like, how everyone goes through school. She went to a nice uni, moved to Dubai, went to a nice uni, did well, and then she got a phenomenal job at the one of the big four. Was it KPMG or PwC?
Yeah.
KPMG.
KPMG. Yeah.
And you left that job after 6 months, which,
Yeah.
like, people would say, like, somebody crazy would do, like,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's it's people's dream to get there, right?
Yeah.
People dream about that stuff, and you got there, and within 6 months you were able to realize that. Just run us through that process, like what happened.
What happened was that, so I always, in school, I always wanted to earn a lot of money. Okay. So I felt like I have the mind for it. I just want to follow a stream where there's good
Hmm.
money. So then I naturally went towards finance and strategy because I felt like, okay, I'm not a science person, I can never be. So, okay, what's my next best bet at earning good money? I said, okay, maybe business, maybe not. That's risky, that's tricky. So let me become a financial consultant because that's what I've seen my family.
Hmm.
So then I studied finance. I went to AUD. There's a story where I actually had to go to American University, Washington. Couldn't happen. I went to AUD. Then I just want to like talk. So then I had to transfer, but then I started dating this guy. That was like I thought I'm going to get married to him, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
I stuck around in
Yeah.
Dubai. Didn't happen, but I got a job. I got picked up from AUD only because this university has good contacts with the corporates in Dubai. So they make sure that if someone is decent, they get a
Hmm.
job. It helps the university, helps the students. So win-win for
Yeah.
me. I did that, and I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks down. So we always do a 2 month internship. You're never hired initially. It's a 2 month internship, and then they tell you if you're permanent. So after my 2 month, I got my offer letter, and I don't know, man, I had this like vision of myself. I was working on that desk. I vividly remember, even as we speak. And I was like, okay, this is going to be me at 30, at 40, at 50. Maybe the boss, maybe I'll be like him when I'm 40. I can't do this.
It clicked.
It cannot be this predictable. It cannot be that you're just working, working, working. And if the money that I'm earning right now is not giving me happiness, how can more money give me more happiness? Because I'm not happy right
Yeah.
now, So then I just quit that job. Like I worked for a few months because I had to. I just quit, and my boss kept asking me, he's like, "Are you nuts? Why are you doing this? We'll even give
Most
you
people would.
accommodation." I
Yeah.
told, yeah, yeah. My parents said the same thing. Everyone told me. So I came back. I enrolled into acting school. I started acting. I started doing theater, and then so while those 6, 7, 8 months, I started reading a lot. So for me, like my start to spirituality was knowing more than I already know now. But whoever I thought was a credible source at that point, through them. So whenever a wisdom was simple to understand, easy to execute, I started following those
Who was
people.
the first?
And then Jay Shetty was like the first one. I think at that time, like 6, 7 years ago, he was really like coming up,
I.
and he had
Yeah.
like really nice, simple
Yeah.
videos at that
Yeah.
point. So I used to watch his videos, but I used to read a lot of like, I've always been into yogi kind of vibe. Like
Yeah.
I like the Indian way of the spiritual system, and I like the Buddhist way also. So I used to read things about Buddha, his realization, a few yogis in India and stuff like that. I used to read all of that.
From your corporate experience, I want to touch like how you guys said that most people won't even think about it. So
Yeah.
for for most people, the biggest concern would obviously be financial security, right? And
Yeah.
that's why probably they won't quit their job, and that's why they probably won't take the same step that you did. For most people, like, how would you? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening right now would be in the same boat. Would also, I
Good
have these
question.
visions
Yeah.
as well. Yeah? I have these
Yeah.
visions as well. I mean, not only looking at my boss or anyone or someone who's like 5, 10 years older, 6 years older than me, and if I look at them, I can't imagine the same life that they're having. So for most people listening, like, how would you like walk them through the thought process, like, and if they are having like financial um security might be one reason, but there might be other reasons as well, like you said, like your parents, some people might not have that much liberty. Like, walk us
Yeah.
through like what that thought process would be for most people if they want to, if they like want to just let go of that hostage situation and just be free.
Yeah, hostage situation. I like that because it did feel like that.
Yeah.
So, sure, that's a really interesting topic. Now, what I would say is that when I was going through this, very first thing that I did was that I started writing. And very naturally, I started journaling a lot. There's like a huge thing about like journal, create, like maintain a journalism. That was very natural because I had so many things to say, but I didn't know who to say this to. Because I always felt like, I need to back it up with a reason. Like that time I wanted to act. So I remember I was talking to a friend, and so I always used to give a reason, so I want to quit my job and act because I think that's my passion and because I
Okay.
want to do it. But on my journal, I was like, I want to act, full stop.
So like a case
No
study, you
reason,
made like a
no
case study.
justification.
Oh, okay, no, no, no,
Yeah.
just like a simple sentence.
Just a simple sentence without giving justification or reason or a logical reason, without trying to convince the other person why I want to do what I want to do. Sometimes you want to do because you want to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah.
Because you've never done it. So I remember, like, he was my college friend, and we were meeting for lunch because, like, we used to work nearby. So I said, I want to start, like, I always wanted to DJ like 7 years ago. Also, I'm gonna start that next month. So I said I want to make music because I love music. I listen to music all the time. It was never like, yo, listen, I want to make music. I want to do it right now. Like, I was never this confident
Yeah.
for my own choices that I deserve, man. I should be doing that if I like it. So, how you said that you were so sometimes burdened under security, financial security, stability, parents' pressure, which is fine. But I feel like maintaining a journal, when you really want to do it, it'll give people so much clarity. I actually wrote about 10 things that I want to do before I die. Like, it came to that level of like mental anxiety that I thought that I might just pass away any moment. Have I at least done these 10 things before I die?
It
Can
should
we
come
know
You know?
any
willingly,
one of
though.
them?
Yeah. So the first one was obviously act. Second one was meditate. Like, I wanted to go away, leave my house, and go to a different city, live in among strangers, and learn certain
You've done that.
meditations.
Yeah.
I've done most of the things. Like, I always have the list on my study table, so I've like checked off all.
Okay, so this is exactly what we talked about, Pramit, in our voice notes as well, because Pramit and I were also talking about along the same lines of how the line should never be drawn, and that line is always a moving line. So you see,
5 years.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you had these 10 things, which you said most of them you've done. Probably like in a year or two, you'll be done with the rest of them, and then for the
Yeah,
rest of your life, you can have 10 more, which probably you'll be done in the next 5 years. So the line never stops, right? There's always a new line.
it never
Yeah.
stops. And I feel like there's only courage to do the first 10. The 10 after that is, it'll just flow,
Yeah.
because to do the first 10, you have to leave a lot of things, have that courage, like build yourself up mentally that you're okay to face the situation. And then, like, now people around me support me 100%. Now,
Because they
like I
see
was
the
telling Parmeet,
potential.
like, I'm
Yeah.
leaving. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, I'm so happy for you. He didn't even ask me why. He's like, wow.
Yeah.
But like 6 years late, like, people would be like, "Why are you doing this? I'm a job." And now I'm like, I'll do it both.
Honestly,
What's the
like
big deal?
when you spoke about journaling as well and writing those things and how that brings you so much clarity, it's the same for me. But I think if someone, when I put myself in a situation like 4 or 5 years ago where I was still consuming content where content or wisdom where you're being told to meditate and journal and stuff like that. If it doesn't come to you, if you don't do it willingly, then it would. If you do it under pressure, then you won't see the benefit of it. It has to come to
Yeah.
you naturally, and
Yeah.
you should do it willingly, and that's when the real benefit of it is realized. And you need to go through a certain process to get there. And
Yeah.
you and me, we relate on this so much that meditation and just conquering your mind
Yeah, it's like
first.
I'm talking to a female version of Parmeet. Is this
Yeah,
where these things picked up from?
it was so
Like in terms of
natural. And
journaling?
not necessarily journaling, it was meditation in the beginning, but everything stems from meditation. And with
Hmm.
us, it was
Yeah.
so natural. And we would just meet in person, just me and Ashna, because like our
Yeah.
friends aren't on the same.
Oh my God, that's
But
the
like,
same thing here.
yeah. One thing I want to say about Parmeet is because so I was always into, maybe 2 years ago, before I met him, I was a lot into experiential meditation. Like, what do you experience? It was never process oriented. But like this one day, I don't even know that if he knows it, but it just changed a lot in my mindset. He was like, listen, but the most important thing is, how aware are you of what you're doing? What sort of awareness are you rolling on? And that time for me, awareness wasn't a big thing. It was more like how happy I am, how much joy I feel, even if a situation is not that great and I've been put into that stuff and I need to do it, but I want to do it gracefully, whatever it is. I don't want to run away from it. But then when I met him and then we were talking about awareness and processes to become more aware, I started reading a lot about it. And then and then he went for Vipassana, even I went for like a certain kind of Vipassana, and it was just everything about awareness. Even like one of our teachers, he said that when like when a person dies, the only thing that you actually carry in terms of experience is how aware were you in every situation. It could be your sleep, it could be your dreams, it could be just your daily action. And I know that for me, introduction to that topic in my life was through Parmeet.
Absolutely. I'm gonna touch base with this as well
Yeah.
because I mean now Parmeet and I
Are
have
you gonna cry?
Yeah, that
no, no,
makes
we
sense.
will.
But I feel like Parmeet's just gonna cry.
No, let me give you a tag team here for for that. So but honestly, having started this journey with him, I mean, I before this we had a business venture as well, but I have had only known him as a capacity as a brother, like as a very good friend. But having started this journey now and that venture as well, I swear this aspect of awareness in him, if it was like a video game, his character would be like at 99, like maxed out. So
Yeah.
because even I used to think that I have a certain level of self-reflection and awareness, but the things that he tells me about myself, this past 2 months have been just so extraordinary, have been just so invaluable. So I like touche on this. He is definitely making us all aware and wiser at the
Yeah.
same time. And I agree, when you were saying this, it was hitting home with me.
You guys are
Right?
doing the
It is
same
so
for
real.
me, honestly. And it's
Oh.
honestly, it's right back at you, Ashna, for everything you've done for me. Not per se like you've done for me. It's just naturally you're like this, and when it comes to you so naturally, you just want to share. And I think the energy we exchange is so beautiful. And
It's very
I'm
real.
so yeah, it's so real, and I'm so grateful for it. We
Yeah.
Our conversations are so like pure. As I tell Anas as well,
Yeah.
when I'm going through this journey of self talk, and when I go on these meditation retreats, like I want to keep them, because then you're like trying to connect with your soul. So that path has to be, how monasteries are like absolutely pristine, clean, So
Yeah.
that's what I feel with you, and it's honestly, it's always just so good vibes.
That is amazing, guys.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. I hope I see you soon. We didn't really. I know you came to Dubai
Yeah.
and we didn't.
When are you
Yeah.
both coming to Dubai?
I'll
I will be coming in September, but Parmeet's not coming
I'll
before December,
I'll
you
come
Yeah.
know.
in December. Yeah.
It's hard for him actually. He lives in an island far, far, far away, a land down under. So
I'm chasing my dreams, chasing my purpose, and
yeah, he's
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
feel like I'm doing more being.
But
you
Parmeet, like
are.
how you said that you're chasing your purpose, do you feel that purpose is ever evolving, or you feel like there's only one purpose for a person?
It's evolving every day, and for me, purpose isn't. Now I've been able to discover this very recently. I was kind of stepping on there, but now I'm really able to discover it. And it's not something like set in stone, like uh, doing acting or like there is goals and stuff. So my purpose in life, and it's on my. I wasn't planning on diving. I wasn't planning on diving deep into this in this podcast, but we'll go for it. My you guys have seen on my Insta as well. It says here to serve, right?
Yeah.
So what that means is that I believe in energy, right? I'm an energy, you're an energy, Ashna is energy. Everybody has a certain kind of energy. And every day, every moment of our lives, we're exchanging energy, you know. And we
Yeah.
say we put it on Wiser together as well. The smile we pass on. It's look. Think of it like. Have you seen the nervous system? It's like clusters, and then there's like a string connected to another cluster. So visually, try to think of it like that visually. So
Mm.
the more I try to fill into the more I serve this energy that I have, the more I serve this cluster in me, the more I can expand those strings of energy that I exchange with other people. And the more I can
Mm.
expand their cluster, right? Which
Yeah.
eventually then comes back to me as well, because that is my surrounding.
Mm.
So my purpose in life is to just fully serve this energy that is within me so that I can share it with other people and expand my surroundings in that way.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a lot more to it, but if I were to summarize it, that's what it is.
That is so
Thank you
profound.
for that
Yeah.
illustration. I think those things help understanding where you're coming
Yeah.
from, because these things can be so abstract, but I think how you did paints a very nice picture.
Yeah, like I always had an
Yeah.
idea as well, these things, but I try to like when I started journaling now, right? So I try to I really put an effort and try to put it in very simple terms so I can like explain it and share it as well, right? So now everything I do in life, I approach it from that angle, right? Am I serving that energy? And it just so happens to be that through these things and habits that I've formed, it's becoming more and more and more natural, and life is just happening so naturally. You're so joyful, you're so happy. It's you don't doubt things, or before it was just like you were in the same position as well, and I was as well, and I'm sure a lot of people are just chasing something that was set in our mind, the expectations we had that were sort of driven from how we experience society or our surroundings growing up. But
Yeah.
the awareness part that comes from questioning that. Otherwise you're just a
Yeah.
robot. You're just living on the algorithm that was built up by the experiences you collected, and now you
Yeah.
unpack those experiences in your mind, and that is the understanding you have. And based on that, every situation uh, gives you a different solution based on the algorithm you've built, and then you're just running as a robot until you stop and question the thought you're having. Where is it
Yeah.
originating from? This is the awareness I talk about, and then you can really change your reality, change your present, right? Otherwise you're
Yeah.
just flowing like a robot.
Wow.
No,
Yeah. One of the biggest things like that I learned like last year was just spirituality through self-inquiry.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can create your own
yeah,
happiness.
exactly.
You can just figure it all out. You can like get unstuck just through self-inquiry. Stop and just inquire. Ask your mind, and it's already here.
It's just like you everybody, and it's like we mentioned this in the first podcast as well, happiness isn't on the outside, it's within. You need to dig within. But think of it
Yeah.
this way, like if this is your soul, like throughout your lifetime you've put so many layers of society like on it,
Mm,
and this is your vision right here, right? So you can't even reach that soul, there's so many layers, right? So many
yeah.
thoughts, perceptions, opinions of things. And for you to be able to reach that soul, you need to practice mindfulness and meditation. So one by one, you're able to remove those by questioning them, by inquiring them, and eventually you will be able to
Yeah.
reach your soul, which is what I think happened with you as well. I feel like you always had it in you, acting and stuff, but you had those
Yeah.
layers in you. When you started questioning them, you were able to remove them, and
Yeah.
now it comes so naturally to you. When you're connected with your soul, just happiness is
Yeah.
just a state of being. Like
I
it's not
know.
something you chase.
Yeah.
It's just, you know.
Yeah. It's a constant ambience. I call it like an ambience. It's like air.
Yeah,
It's like you inhale and you exhale that, because now the factory to manufacture is not outside, it's already getting manufactured. You just have to be aware, and then it just
yeah, and there's
This
no
is
limbic friction. Yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
guys, these things are so interesting. But what Asha said, that happiness can be achieved through self inquiry.
Hmm.
So this
Yeah.
is something I practice as well. But I want to understand if you guys struggle with this as well, because sometimes those questions can be hard. um, I'll give my example. Sometimes, if I, after an event, after a conversation, or after interaction, if I'm left with a bad taste in my mouth, which is normally what, something that would make anyone happy, or sorry, unhappy in this regard. So I ask myself, like, through self inquiry, like, why am I feeling like this, or what happened?
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes, even I would like to give the answer which is proper, which would untangle the thing. Sometimes I'm also afraid of the answer of the truth. Is that something you guys face as well?
Sorry, just say that again. I didn't quite. Maybe I
Oh,
missed on something.
you
Yeah.
you you
So
can't hear me,
I
I can hear
or
you. I can hear you. I was just
okay,
yeah.
so no
Sorry.
worries. No worries. The thing that I was talking about is, when we are trying to, basically achieve happiness through self
Yeah,
inquiry.
yeah.
What we're doing is we're asking, like, Asha said, that we're asking the questions from within. So what I was saying was that sometimes these questions can be hard. These questions are basically pointing us towards the truth, and when achieving or answering that truth, that is giving us the happiness. So when faced with a hard question, how
Hmm.
do you guys deal with it? Do you guys, straight away come to the truth, or do you take a circle, a lap, and then come to the truth?
Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
go first.
Okay. So I feel like if you don't have that sense of awareness, like we say, you will not, even though the truth might be there, and deep down you will know. Your intuition, your deep down, you will definitely always know that, okay, this is what it is. But if you haven't had the chance to do that self reflection and really have the capacity to accept that truth, no matter, even if it's in front of you, you won't accept it. So I think through self reflection and through creating that capacity to accept that truth through meditation, mindfulness, and stuff, uh, then you can, create that process and accept it.
All right.
Yeah. Just to add on to it a little bit, I would say that, how you nicely said that maybe I'm going through a certain thing, and to unlock it, there are few emotions, or maybe do you do it one shot, or you like roam around it and then go to the truth? Well, what I would want to ask myself right now is that what am I so scared of that I don't want to go for it one shot? Are those not my triggers in my mind that I sort of want to resolve once and for all? So even to go to the truth, there are a few things that we need to face. And if we're not able to face them, they are clearly our triggers that may be from the past or some social surroundings, whatever it has. Like, we have those seeds in us that we haven't really come to terms with. I think the journey would be to slowly resolve those, firstly, figure out the triggers. And one way to do it is like journaling.
Yeah,
Second way, a lot of people, therapy has helped them.
yeah.
So, and I feel like therapy is so important for
Mm.
everyone. It's not like, oh, you're going through something weird, now I want to go to therapy. Therapy is like talking, but of course it's expensive. You want to talk, you can even do that with a friend
Yeah,
who's into
exactly.
spirituality, you know. So yeah,
This is
that's a different
therapy.
topic, but this is
Yeah.
therapy. For yeah, exactly, this is what they
Yeah.
do. For me it was reading. I figured out so many of my triggers, because what I did was, for the first 2 years I wasn't going straight up to the, just scared about it. Honestly, I was like, no, but I don't want that. So that I would just not open the book because I'm just too scared. And then I realized, listen, I'm just taking too much time and it's not worth it. My life is so important. I need to fix it right now. Only if my day one needs to be now for me to get to day 100, right? I can't like delay my day one. So then for me, reading helped.
Hmm.
Uh, a lot of reading and a lot of journaling. I also have this thing where I used to like record myself while talking to myself. And it felt so good. Like I did it straight for like 90 days. So I had like 90 voice notes. I used to do it every day before sleeping sometimes. So initially I used to be very shy. So maybe that ended in like 2 minutes. And then like I remember day three, I spoke for an hour and a half.
Wow.
I just
That's a
spoke.
podcast.
That is
Yeah.
I wanna like
Yeah.
circle back to this because I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this because this is the first time I'm going to I think put my thoughts on air online about this. And it's, I always say to my friends, and I've had so many friends who've told me recently, which is a bit of a surprise to me, that they're going into therapy. Partly I don't know, because they're my friends and they need my help, and the fact that they want to go do this is just, it sort of like makes me feel that, like I should be there for them. But apart from that, um but even for them to go to a therapy or seek professional advice, I always said the same thing to them about self inquiry. I feel like we're our own um, the best therapists that we can be. Like we're the best because nobody knows us better inside and outside. And I'm so happy because you guys also like along the same lines said the same thing which I had in
Yeah,
my mind, that we should have that level of self-esteem, that level of awareness to come to our truth and to understand. And Ashna, the practices that you do, I think those are something that I think I can start as well. Because earlier I used to just journal like Permit, like I used to write down my triggers or things that left a distasteful taste in my mouth. Maybe now I can start recording as well. Maybe I can start putting in a voice note as well. Because there's another tangent here, so I just want to finish off the first one, which is that we are our own best therapists. And I believe
hmm,
before talking to
agreed.
anyone, I think we should have a conversation with ourselves. We will
Yeah.
find the truth. The second tangent is about the days wasted. I think that is such an amazing concept because Parmeet knows me as well, that I like to make every moment, every second count. And I hate it when I've never wasted a day. I just say that I wasted a moment thinking about something or anything that just affected me negatively.
Hmm.
So, yes, you're absolutely right. Day one must start from today so that we can get to day 100. Otherwise, these wasted days, they would add up in the year. And, by the end of the year, you would see that out of 365 or 4 days, you have wasted a month. And these things do add up in terms of
For
compound.
Yeah.
sure.
So good
Yeah.
sharing, guys.
I just want to add to that even when people go to therapy, it's a process of self inquiry first. Like you ask yourself first, and then you realize, okay, there is a problem, and the solution, it may be self reflecting or plenty of other things that are there, or therapy, and then willingly go to therapy. If you go to therapy because it was suggested by someone and you go because of that, or
Yeah.
if you don't go really willingly, see, it all starts from here. If you're willing, like things will present themselves. So if you just go to therapy not willing because somebody suggested it or you see other people or there's a pressure or whatever, it won't help you. So it's your willingness first to
Yeah.
help yourself to seek out certain services or things, and then that has an effect on you. And coming back to those triggers, it's like I used to be like this, and I'm able to realize it now, that, and I question it now so much. When you tell someone XYZ, even if, okay, let's say for example, I say to a friend, oh, you need to go to therapy, right? So they would just get defensive. They won't think, oh, maybe I need to go to therapy. They would think, no, there's something wrong with this person. Like they would have a defense
Yeah.
mechanism going on, and then they will try to
Mm.
find, negative things about you to justify what you have said to me. Does it
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
It makes
happens.
100% sense. Yeah.
If I don't want to give any specific
You can.
examples,
It's
but
fine.
no, but if someone just says,
We can make up a fiction character for you. It's
yeah,
totally
even
fine.
if you say it like with no with a good intention at heart, bro, this is this going on, and this is not right, and they would just be defensive about it and not think
No,
about,
that's a human nature for me. I mean, if
yeah,
you it's
it
like
is.
people, it takes, like you said, it takes a lot of awareness to understand to understand someone as well. And I'm sure if you say those things to me right now or Ashna, we wouldn't be defensive. We would
I know, I
dig
know, I
deep
know.
and we would understand why you're saying it, what you're saying it. And I think our next question would be, why do you think we should go to therapy?
Exactly, you would question that. So coming back to the thing you said, doing self inquiry and creating that capacity to accept the shortfalls or whatever. They don't have that capacity as of now because they haven't practiced self awareness or self reflection or mindfulness or anything. So, and that would always keep them at an arm's length from happiness. It's something like they would think they're happy chasing certain pleasures, but it's not actually happening. If you're happy, you're happy. It's not an up and down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, just guys, practice any form of self-awareness. Question, don't be a robot, right? Like if
Yeah.
you just question your thoughts, because you know 96% of our activities and processes and the way we do things is subconscious mind, and it's built up until the age of 7. And it's not even in your control. So now that you are in a control, find a way to question them, and change that programming that has been done. That's the real way to. That's when we say like conquer your mind, really question your mind. It's
So, I
what's
want to
possible.
highlight this one point that I have experienced that I feel a few people in my circle, so they've been going to therapy regularly. So their first step to solving an issue in life was through another person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when the therapy stopped, it was like back to square one. And now they don't know how to solve anything. So the
Also, like the person
anxiety.
was the cause.
So basically, for example, it's like my friend. Now she is going through anxiousness or panic attack or some anxiety or some issue she's having. That's why he or she, and they've gone to a therapist and now they're doing like a 3 month or a 4 month session. So now the 4 months is over. They feel great. They're like, okay, now I think I'm back. The therapy stops. Everything sucks again. Now I feel the person who actually went for therapy doesn't have tools to resolve the mental conflicts on their own. The resolution or the mental peace that they were getting was constantly through a process that was driven by someone else. In this case is the therapist,
Attachment.
right?
Yeah.
So now the therapist is gone and now the mental state is back. So when I always feel like when a person meditates, you control the power. You have the power to
Yeah.
bounce back every time because the tool is in your hands, right?
Hmm.
When you do therapy, the power to feel better is in someone else's hand. The power for
Yeah.
you to feel better is in someone else's hands. Where when we look at mental health or when we look at mental development or when we look at evolution, these are big things where the control should be with us,
Hmm.
not with someone else. So
Yeah.
therapy maybe would be good, it's great, it's like having a friend to talk to and they giving you meaningful advice, but it's still your life and you got to
Yeah.
take control. You have to, like, you cannot delay your day one. It's going to be hard for the first 10-15 days to make your process, figure out your process, do your self inquiry, do some hard work, but we need to start that. I feel therapy brings a certain level of dependency, and meditation makes you independent.
It's attachment in a way, right? And
Yeah.
as Buddha, it's like, yeah, dependency and attachment to that, and it's not sustainable, obviously. And as Buddha says, any kind of attachment is suffering,
Yeah.
right? Because it possesses you. You are not the same person without it,
Yeah.
right? So even in Vipassana, like they taught, Vipassana. I just want to tell you, there's like a very. Did you do the Goenka one?
Me? No.
So
No.
there's the Goenka one is the most popular one. It's all
Yeah.
over the world. It's free. You
Yeah.
can do it anywhere in the world. It's 10 days of meditation. First 3 days is Anapana, which is just focusing on your nasal breathing, and then the next 6 days is basically you go through this process again and again, where you try to feel sensations within your body, starting at the surface level on your skin, everywhere, fingertips, head, nose, ears, face, cheeks, going down till your toes, and you do that again and again and again. And how the process works is that something happens, just giving you the mechanisms of it. So an experience happens on the outside that awakens a certain kind of sensation in our body. Now, based on how our algorithm works in our mind, that sensation that happens in your body is connected, associated to a certain emotion, right? So automatically you feel that emotion, and based on that emotion, you generate a reaction, then an action, right? So up until the point where you feel an emotion is not in your control, right? But at that point, you can stop and question it and not attach yourself to that sensation, that emotion, and then stop the reaction being caused. Because then you're just, like I keep saying, you're just moving with the gust of the wind. You're just a product of the circumstances. And in Vipassana as well, so they're trying to release you of all kinds of attachments. So first 3 days is just nasal breathing and focusing on trying to be aware of your nasal breathing, just this area. They call it the triangle. And then the next 6 days is you go through the whole body sensation. On the last 1 or 2 days, the hardest thing is then you have to detach, or rather unattach yourself from the practice of Vipassana itself, which is very hard, obviously. That's the hardest part for everyone.
That's
But
such a perplexing thing to do. First, you're making yourself comfortable with that thing, and then
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because then you become attached to it, right? You gotta be fully unattached. As one of my meditation instructors, she says, even detachment is some form of you can't be detached, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't be detached. If I'm not attached to you, I'm not detached either. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're still
Yeah.
connected, but you
Yeah.
unattach yourself from the consequences of those actions, which is it's crazy.
Can I think that, when a lot of people talk about detachment, I like it, but I felt that when I started practicing that, not like consciously practicing it, maybe I read about it and it like sort of the seed goes in your mind and like you're always thinking about it in the back of your mind. So for me, detachment brought a certain sense of lifelessness and insensitivity.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying
You know
to.
what I mean? Then that
Yeah,
exuberance that I love to feel, that joy, the connection that I want to make, the love that I have for almost everyone, honestly, that was going away. I didn't feel like doing anything for the other person because I never felt we are connected.
yeah,
So then I came across this theory of being detangled and not being entangled. So you want to always be detangled. You don't want to be in the mess. You want to have a zoomed out perspective, like a distance. But because once you have that, you have a certain level of peace of mind and your mind is relaxed because you feel like you're not in the mess. Then you can solve the mess.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
The observer.
Observer. You can just be an
Yeah,
observer or a visitor. Now,
yeah,
when you visit, you can feel all the emotions that you want to feel, but you won't get disturbed as per
yeah,
se.
yeah.
When you detach, because that's the only thing that we know, okay, this is hurting,
You
let me go
disconnect.
away. you disconnect. Then there's no emotion. For me, there's no life. No,
There's a
you know,
exactly like you can't live like. And then there's a phrase as well, and I saw this when I went to Bali. I saw this everywhere, and it goes like connected, not attached.
yeah, love that.
So that's essentially what we're trying to say here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah. So unattach yourself. You don't detach yourself because then you're not really connected. But
Then you're not
generally, like
connected.
if
Yeah,
you practice more and more spirituality and these things, you will realize you're connected to everything in life. Like
yeah,
maybe not directly, but indirectly, the whole being, this the whole world is one being. You're connected to
yeah,
everything. You're connected to
yeah,
things around you, people around you. You know, this even when you look at someone that's the connection you pass on a certain energy. Now maybe they're
yeah,
not aware of that energy at that point, but with
yeah,
practice and awareness you realize that, if you see someone crying on the street, do you laugh or do you feel sad, or just naturally you feel
yeah. You
sad, right?
always feel sad.
That
Yeah,
connect, you're picking up on that energy. When someone smiles at you on the street, you smile back, like just naturally. It's just exchange of energy, right?
yeah,
So you just gotta have, when I was talking about here to serve as well, you just gotta have more of that positive
yeah,
energy just going on in your surrounding, because then that will just elevate your being as a whole,
yeah.
which not just me, the whole society, everyone basically.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like if a certain person enters the room and they're like full of energy, you
Yeah, like
feed from
you.
their energy?
Yeah, like you. I
No,
do.
I'm just silly. But like some people, like, because I've physically felt that if a person or anyone
Yeah,
who have a certain level of freedom in their body, in the mind, and they're just free from a lot of things, when they enter a room,
yeah.
it's like I feed from their energy. Their energy is such a big source, and I feel so connected. Now imagine being just detached just because you don't want to get sad. I mean, come on. I feel like
Yeah.
you've given away way too much of life for a very small thing
This
that can be easily controlled.
this was a big question I had. Like when I started practicing this, and I was like, then what's the point of life? Like you can't
Yeah,
even, and
yeah,
then it started making sense,
yeah.
slowly, slowly. But for me, you're that person. I admire that about you, honestly speaking, so, so, so much. Like you can
Um,
just be yourself, and it's just, I really, really, really admire that. And that's why it's just so wonderful exchanging that energy with you. It
that's so
just,
sweet.
yeah. No,
But don't you
genuinely.
think that we all are like, I honestly, like, I get my energy from everyone in the room.
I
They
do
could be
believe,
feeling anything, but
yeah,
I still get
I
it.
do believe everyone has that side inside them.
Yeah,
Everyone does. Everyone
yeah,
does. It's just about how many layers they have, right?
yeah,
And at the surface is the layers you see, not the soul they possess, right?
yeah.
So if you are the right person who can help them channel through that energy, you will see that. You know how they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So everybody
Beholder,
has
yeah.
that side in them. It's just for you to, if you can channel that and awaken that energy.
However, I mean, what you guys, I was just trying to process and understand these things, and I was just at the same time putting those things into my life as well. I agree at some point, but I just want to put like a caveat right there is that don't do it at the expense of your peace and sanity. Of
Sure.
course, I mean, as humans, we are made to love and made to be social beings, and there's it's just, and if we do those things such as being detached, it's just going against our nature. However, at the same time, you must understand that there are good forces and there are evil forces as well. And like you said, Ashna, that you have an ability. Actually, I think every one of us has an ability to recognize and feed off that positive energy as well, because this is sometimes so rare, especially in this day and age. But at the same time, there are forces as well that are working against and total polar opposite to that. And they may take upon different faces and different forms of disguises. So I would say definitely do not be detached, do not be insensitive, but at the same time, be aware. Be aware
Yeah,
and make sure that that it isn't affecting you, that it isn't stopping you from being the best version of yourself, and basically having like a negative spillover effect. So just choose
Yeah.
wisely.
Yeah, that's what
if
I'm
we
saying.
are
If
if we
you
are being connected, and if we are focusing on entangling or any of that sort of thing.
if you are sort of affected in any way through that entanglement, that means attachment. That is
Yeah.
the meaning of attachment. So that is what we need to overcome. And it's not
Yeah.
detaching. You can still have that entanglement, right? When I was talking about, we spoke on about this on the podcast as well a few episodes ago, where if somebody on the streets comes to you and uh, curses you or pushes you, like this has happened to me in Sydney a few times, where just walking, somebody's on the bike, yo, get out of my way, and like my first thought is like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why is he doing this? But then you realize, like, why do you give him the power to?
Wow.
If the
Yeah.
other person has the power to change how you feel, you're a slave to that
Yes. Yes.
experience, or that person has the power to
100%.
change you. Think
Yeah.
about that. So that is what attachment is. Don't. And a lot of the times, this isn't even attachment to them. It's the attachment to the thought they awaken in you.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know.
That is so
So
powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't attach yourself to those thoughts. And at the end of the day, it just comes back to the mind. You can have a miserable life outside, but if you
Yeah.
fix this, it can
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you on this, for me, because it took me very long to realize that no one has the privilege to dictate how I feel, because that is in my control. I dictate that
You give
in
it to
every
them.
situation.
Yeah.
So if we say that, I had a really messed up day and my really close friend, she or he did that, or my partner, he or she, how did they do it? They did it, but you're living it. Don't live it. Don't repeat it. And
Yeah.
with awareness, you know that how many times we relive a moment and then we just make a mess out of it. It only happens once, but it happens in our mind 1,000 times, I feel.
Because if you make yourself believe that, for example, if
Yeah.
me and Ashna sit here and tell you, oh, look, Anas has blue hair, it's so funny and stuff, would it affect you? No, because it's not true.
No.
You do not have blue hair. You'd be like, that's so stupid, right? It
Of
won't have any
course.
effect on you. But if I say something that is a bit more subjective, and you it awakens a thought in you that lets you to believe that that is true, then you would be attached to that, and you would have a certain reaction in your body, and then a certain action in your physicality based on that. So this is a very, very deep topic. I am
Yeah.
still practicing this. It doesn't come in 1 or
Yeah.
2 years. It just, once you start it, then it creates a process for you to practice it again and again and again. And it comes from awareness,
Yeah.
With meditation as well, it's just about focusing on your breath, right? And then your
Yeah.
mind drifts off, and then you come back. And then it drifts off, and then you come back. The more times
Yeah.
you practice that, you can be aware of the mind taking over, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually the consciousness takes over. So, man,
Yeah.
this
I
is so
love that.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is like the topic. You know how you said this is such a deep topic. For
Yeah.
me, in my life, where I am right now, like I was telling you, that for me now, practice is not a practice anymore. It's become life. Like I'm trying to like make my breath and how I feel and the mechanism I'm using, the tools I'm using to conquer my mind, a practice. I'm figuring out my own practice.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
one of the biggest tools as to which how I'm doing that is by understanding that you the privilege, like how I said that no one holds privilege to make me feel however I want to feel. I hold that, and I'm going to dictate that every time. So many things can stem out of this. This is just a process, and so many things can happen just through this, I feel.
Yeah. And like, we were talking about that chasing. So this is
Yeah.
the chase, and it's never ending. And that's the beautiful
Yeah.
part of it. Every day you can get a bit better, but
Yeah.
you can never ever be fully enlightened. Like Buddha was
Yeah.
fully, but you can, this surrounding we live in, you'd have to live in a monastery to spend your life over there if you want to be fully
Which is not
enlightened.
bad. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean,
I
if
wouldn't
nothing
mind
works
that.
out, when I went the
I
first time
would
as
do
well.
anyway. Everything works out also.
Honestly, like when I went Nepal and I lived in the monastery first time, I was like, man, I have nothing here. I live in shit accommodation, eating vegetarian food, and which is a blessing as well. And it's all
Yeah,
gratitude. Don't get me wrong. The food was
yeah,
amazing, by the way. But I was like, no friends, no communication, nothing. But I was generally
yeah.
like just so at peace and happy. And I just thought to myself, if nothing works out, I'll be back. I'll be back here.
I will go if everything works out. So, like I think about it a lot that once I settle a few things in my life which I want to do, I'm gonna take a very long sabbatical, for like a few years maybe,
Few
and then
years,
I'm just gonna,
wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Where I want to do a few things, and because they're the ones that's holding me back basically because I really want to do it,
See, that
and
takes a different level of courage and determination, and
yeah,
just your mind is on another level.
yeah.
Yeah, I there's
Your mind
so
is not about what the other person is thinking.
yeah, that's true. There's so much I want to talk to you about, but unfortunately, uh, we only have limited time. But we're definitely gonna have you back again. I've only scratched the surface here with you. Like there's so much. Whenever we meet as well, there's just so much to talk about. So there was a ton of other things I wanted to talk about as well, but yeah, we'll save it for next time. I think
Yes.
Definitely.
this was beautiful. Uh, I have so much admiration, love, and respect for you and the things you do. It just, it's just exchange of that energy as well. It just inspires me to do more as well. So, God bless you. With I just have no words. It's.
God bless you with nothing. I'm just kidding.
He's
God
just
bless you
blown
with all
away.
my heart and everything you want in life. Hopefully, you'll get. Uh, this is meditation is just one thing. Because of that, I feel like there is so much that you do which we didn't get a chance to dive into. But just run us very quickly in a minute. You're an actor.
Yeah.
You're a producer.
Yeah. So I run a marketing agency. I
Yeah,
make films. I
yeah,
produce photos.
yeah,
I am an actor.
yeah.
I think I'm a dancer, but let's see.
You are,
Let
you
people
are, you
decide.
are.
Then I'm like hugely into meditation. So I think I will. I don't want to like say it right now, but maybe I will become a teacher soon in one of the things that
I
I
want to do
wanted to
that.
always do. Right. So I'm going to
Yeah,
start like now because day one needs to start now.
yeah.
So it's going to be a hectic year for me ahead. And I want to become a DJ. I feel like I'm a DJ like 30%, but 70% I need to know like the math skills for it.
You'll get there. There's just
Yeah.
so
You'll
many
get
things.
there.
You're creatively so sound and wow, truly an inspiration.
I want to actually I want to like sit down with Anas because I don't know his story, but maybe we'll do it next time
Yeah,
because I
For
love to know
sure,
we
yeah, for
everyone's
must.
sure.
story.
We
Yeah,
For
must.
sure.
yeah,
I
I
think
wanna,
that's yeah, I think already we're at the 1 hour mark, and I mean,
yeah,
just listening
yeah,
to you guys, understanding these things, because you guys obviously have been to these retreats, and Parmeet always
yeah,
talks about the thing. So it's just my mind is just trying to grasp these things, because living in those conditions, doing those things, these are, only one person who's done these things have a true understanding of that. But through you guys, I think I got to learn a lot. And the most beautiful thing about doing these things is that you get to learn, you get to listen. It's not
yeah,
always about the input, it's not always about sharing your side of the story. It's just like, like today, how I saw this dynamic between you guys. It's truly beautiful, it's truly amazing, because it's really rare to have friends like these that you can
It
connect
is.
on such an abstract level. We live in a society that is conquered by gossip, that is conquered by such trivial and
Yeah.
things which are just so disconnected. But to hear you guys just sit there, listen, and understand what these things mean. And like me, I felt like an audience as well, because like me, a lot of people would be listening and trying to understand. To them, I suggest to listen to the latter part of this podcast again, just to understand, just to grasp these things fully, and to act. Because what you guys done is not only talk about those things, but also provide practical examples. Because this is
Yeah.
very important. You guys have had teachers that have taught you these things, like the breathing technique that Pramit was talking about, and how you think about life. So I would suggest, like, because I'm going to do that as well, I'm going to listen to this and note down those practices so that I can actually implement those in my life as well. And maybe reach up to the level that you guys are on, because it was truly a pleasure, a truly a privilege talking to you guys. And again, thank you so much, Ashna, for giving us this time. I think everybody knows how much busy you are. But before we wrap it off, I had one question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So, this is what Parmeet and I were talking about when we dropped our teaser. It only had like 7,000 views or so. We didn't let this thing go
Show
to our,
off.
yeah. So we didn't let this thing go to our head. But damn, I was looking at your Instagram and I saw an ad that was by Amazon India. And I asked you even before starting if it aired on national TV, and you said yes. So how did you feel
Yeah.
about that?
I felt great because random people were coming up to my dad and asking, "Is that your daughter?" And my dad's like, "Yeah, that's my daughter."
Were they
So, like,
asking
for
hand in
me,
marriage as well?
yeah, they did. I got a few rishtas here and there. No, but just
Yeah.
kidding. So for me, like these things don't affect me. Like it came on national television. I like the process. I worked with a director that I always wanted to work with, and like my vision is little far off. Like I don't want to just do ads. I want to do like full films and web series and stuff. But I like the fact that people are now accepting very, very acceptive towards what I want to do in my life. Like my dad saw it, my parents saw it, people were coming asking them. So now they're like, okay, so when is your next dad coming? And I'm like, yeah, that took you 4 years to say that,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah. Again, the focus
All
here
right.
is you mentioned like it doesn't matter, and we focus on the process as well, and process is what you
Yeah.
enjoyed more. And
Yeah, just imagine like I cannot love or hate what I do just because the reach wasn't that big enough. I still love it. You make me do it
yeah,
in at the theater in
yeah,
front of two people, I'll do it the same way. You make me do it on a set with 1,000 people, I'll do it the same way because I like the process. I like me when I'm doing it. I'm very conscious of my breath. I told it to one of
it's
my
it's
theater directors
it's the
that I
same
feel
with
very alive.
it's the same with this podcast as well. We barely had like 9 downloads on our third episode,
Yeah.
and three of them was my siblings, two of them was my parents, two of Anas's family members, and it doesn't matter though. Like we're just enjoying the
Yeah.
process so much.
Yeah.
Even
Absolutely.
this, like I get my energy off of doing them and meeting people
Yeah.
like you and talking to them. So that's the
This
focus.
is
Thank you
our this is
guys.
our boost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for all the lovely words that you said. I didn't pay anyone. I want to tell people they just said it on their own. I have like no influence on them right now, but I'm just glad that you guys feel that way. I think you all are super
No,
sweet. I want
it's
to know Anas's story. Maybe we'll sit
yeah.
down one
For
day and
sure. Yeah. Well,
break it
We're
down.
gonna do
you'll
this
Her
be
again.
hate or
you'll be a
love.
friend of the podcast. So why not?
I think this was
Yeah.
basically like a starting point where what we're able to do, how it started. So then next one we'll focus on basically the because you're doing amazing, amazing things in life, and so is Anas as well, and we must
So
must
are
must dive.
you?
And
Yes.
Exactly.
obviously, I'm not gonna say I'm doing.
I will say it.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, definitely, we must do this again once you have some time
Yeah, let's do it
because you're a
next
busy
month. I just
person.
want to like,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
definitely,
think
we're gonna do this again.
I think how many guests we've had here every time, like once before they start, they're not sure, but when we end, they're like, "Damn, we
Let's
want
do
to do
this
this
again.
again." Yeah, and they love it very much. So that's
And
just
that's what we're
goes,
gonna have. Just have
yeah,
those kind of conversations which can inspire
exactly,
each other, and you crave for more and more of them.
Yeah.
So I think we're just stretching this too much now. People won't even watch it.
yeah.
But anyway, again, thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna tag all your uh, Instagram page and everything, so people can go on your profile and see the amazing stuff that you are doing. And lastly, guys, please support us in any way you can. We really appreciate it. And it just helps us expand and amplify the energy I was talking about earlier. And yeah, that's all from us. And thanks again. Thank you for sticking by till the end. And we will see you next Sunday.
Guys, ciao, take care.
Bye. Thank you.